The new year is a good time to get our finances in order, but there's a lot going on in the world, and that is having an effect on the markets. So it is difficult to know whether we are okay financially or perhaps we should be doing something different. Pattie Lovett-Reid is a financial expert with Home Equity Bank. Hi, Pattie.
Hi, Mitsumi.
So, Pattie, we just heard the Prime Minister. He said we must deal with what is and not what we would wish it to be. So what are some of the realities we have to face?
Well, when you think about 2026, it has certainly been an interesting start. We could talk about Venezuela. We could talk about the Federal Reserve. We can talk about Greenland and the tariff situation. And what I can tell you is that there is a feeling of a risk-off appetite out there. People are moving into safe havens, and what I mean by that, into gold, into silver, and there's a certain element of anxiety in terms of where do we go from here. And I wish I could tell you something, but I can't. So if we can't predict the future, I think what we can do is sort of plan for it in our households as best we can.
So we do have good reason to be cautious, but that's not the same from being frightened.
Yeah, I think you make a really great point. We're very cautious in our household, but we're not fearful because fear often can lead to panic, and panic can often mean expensive. And so, what some may be thinking when you see a day in the markets like we saw it today, that's it, I'm going to capitulate. That means I'm throwing in the towel and I'm moving to the sidelines. And it is exactly the wrong time to do it. We have been through situations before. We've been through wars and we've been through recessions. We've been through a pandemic. We're dealing with trade challenges. The list goes on. So sometimes short-term market volatility, yeah, you got to somehow make your way through it. But when you're being cautious, that doesn't mean you're not looking at your numbers, that you're not necessarily rebalancing. You're just not making wholesale changes in the middle of something that may not be a big deal in the long run, as we've seen before.
So you're reminding us that history does offer some good lessons for us when it comes to investments then.
It absolutely can. And, if you're in there for the long term, then I think your strategy should likely be, okay, I'm going to stand back and I'm going to look at how much money do I have coming in? What is it I'm spending my money on? Do I have a budget? Am I sticking to it? Does it need to be tweaked? Does your balance in your portfolio? Maybe last year we saw some outsized returns. Maybe it makes sense to lock in some of those gains, but still stay balanced for the long term here.
Those are really good points, Pattie, and you've given us a list of that and about but getting our houses in order. So what else should we be checking other than that?
Well, we do know that there are an awful lot of mortgages coming up for renewal this year, and inflation is still stubbornly high. When you go to the grocery store year over year, prices are up 5%. Coffee is up 30%. So the point is, rates aren't likely to come down anytime soon. We do get a rate announcement on January 28th. Most think the bank is going to stand pat. So what does that mean to you? It may mean looking at, am I in a variable rate mortgage? Can I stand the fluctuation that's going on? Or maybe I lock in shorter term, 2 to 3 years, instead of the fix that is now coming up from when you took out the original mortgage during COVID times and things were ridiculously low from a mortgage rate perspective. But again, it's really understanding your numbers, having access to emergency funds. People will lose their job when they least expect it, and they don't usually worry about the job market until it hits their household. So it's not predicting the future, it's planning for it, controlling what we can in an environment that feels really, quite frankly, a little out of control right now.
So overall, Pattie, what would your advice be for us for this coming year?
I think it's going to be steady as she goes. It's not going to be go all in or pull all out and go to the sideline. I think a real balanced approach might be very prudent. And certainly that's the way we're thinking here.
Okay. Thanks so much for this, Pattie. You always give us such good advice. Nice talking to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Mitsumi.